I was in a small cafe in Kerala, India, a region known as the land of spices, when an 87-year-old woman sat down next to me. She had just returned from a 5-kilometer walk through the hills. 87 years old. 5 kilometers, hills. When I asked how she maintained such incredible mobility, she smiled and said, "Every morning for 60 years, I've added this to my coffee." She opened a small cloth bag and showed me an aromatic golden powder. "This keeps my joints young," she said. 3 weeks later, I was back in the United States, immersed in scientific studies about that golden powder. And what I discovered completely shocked me. There is an herb, an ancient spice used for thousands of years in Ayurvedic medicine, that when added to coffee creates such a powerful chemical synergy that researchers at the University of California, Los Angeles, have called it nature's most promising joint analgesic. This herb doesn't mask pain. It attacks the root cause, chronic joint inflammation. And when specifically combined with coffee, and here's the part nobody knew until recently, the compounds in coffee amplify the herb's absorption by up to 43%. 43% more effective than taking the herb alone. If you're over 60 and wake up with stiff, aching joints, if your knees ache when climbing stairs, if your hands hurt when opening jars, if your back protests when getting out of bed, give this a like now. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal exactly which herb, how much to use, how to prepare it correctly, and why combining it with coffee is absolutely crucial for maximum results. Pause this video now and comment. Do you already drink coffee in the morning? And which joint needs the most relief? Write in the comments because this will help me create more targeted content. I'm going to reveal the exact herb and the complete preparation protocol. But first, you need to understand why most joint supplements you've tried have probably failed miserably. And you need to hear what happened to Mr. James, 71 years old, who was taking 8 ibuprofen pills a day and destroying his stomach. 4 weeks after adding this herb to his morning coffee, he threw the ibuprofen in the trash. Don't do anything else until you understand the revolutionary science behind this combination. Here's the brutal truth about joint pain that the pharmaceutical industry doesn't want you to fully understand. Chronic joint pain, especially in people over 60, is not caused by normal wear and tear or just age. It's caused by chronic low-grade inflammation that never resolves. This inflammation breaks down cartilage, irritates synovial membranes, and causes swelling, stiffness, and pain. The medications most people take, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen, naproxen, celecoxib, work by blocking enzymes called COX-MAT1 and COX-2 that produce inflammatory molecules. They work, but they have 3 massive problems. First of all, they don't cure anything. They only mask symptoms. Stop taking them, and the pain returns immediately because the underlying inflammation persists. Secondly, they have devastating side effects when used chronically. Stomach ulcers, gastrointestinal bleeding, kidney damage, increased cardiovascular risk. A Harvard Medical School study published in 2023 showed that chronic use of anti-inflammatory drugs in the elderly increases the risk of heart attack by 2% and the risk of stroke by 20%. Third, they provide nothing to rebuild or protect damaged cartilage. They only reduce inflammation temporarily. The joint continues to deteriorate. A study by Johns Hopkins University followed 3,000 adults over 60 years old with osteoarthritis for 10 years. They found that people who relied exclusively on pharmaceutical anti-inflammatory drugs had faster progression of joint disease compared to people who used natural anti-inflammatory approaches. Faster. The medications that supposedly help may be accelerating joint destruction. Mr. James discovered this the hard way. 71 years old, osteoarthritis in his knees and hands. He was taking 8 200 milligram ibuprofen tablets a day, 4 in the morning, 4 at night, just to be able to function. After 3 years on this regimen, he began to have severe abdominal pain. Blood in his stool. The gastroenterologist performed an endoscopy, multiple ulcers in his stomach, one beginning to bleed dangerously. "You need to stop taking the anti-inflammatories immediately," the doctor said. James panicked. "But without them, I can't even get out of bed. The pain is unbearable." The gastroenterologist had no solution. "Try Tylenol," he offered in vain. Tylenol does nothing for inflammation. James was stuck. Debilitating joint pain or potentially fatal stomach bleeding. Choose your poison. It was then that his daughter, who had studied functional nutrition, showed him the research on the herb I'm about to reveal. James was skeptical. "Herbal tea won't replace real medicine," he said sarcastically. But he was desperate. He agreed to try it for 30 days. 4 weeks later, James had reduced his ibuprofen to 0. 0. The joint pain had decreased by approximately 60%. He wasn't cured, but he was functional. He was walking without pain, opening jars, climbing stairs. And his stomach? A follow-up endoscopy 3 months later showed that the ulcers had healed completely. So what is this miracle herb? It's not miraculous. It's scientific. It's one of the most studied spices on the planet, with over 15,000 peer-reviewed scientific publications. And it's called turmeric. Specifically, the active compound within turmeric is called curcumin. Before you say, "Oh, I've heard of turmeric," before you say, "I've tried it and it didn't work," let me explain why the way most people use turmeric is completely ineffective, and why the specific combination with coffee changes everything. Turmeric is a golden root from the ginger family, used in Indian cuisine for thousands of years. Its active component, curcumin, has been extensively studied for its anti-inflammatory properties, and the studies are absolutely impressive. A University of Arizona study published in the Journal of Medicinal Food compared curcumin with ibuprofen in patients with knee osteoarthritis. 120 patients were divided into 2 groups. One group received curcumin, the other ibuprofen. After 6 weeks, both groups had similar reductions in pain and improvements in function. But the curcumin group had 0 gastrointestinal side effects. 0, while the ibuprofen group had a 28% incidence of stomach problems. Another study from the University of Tasmania used MRI to measure actual changes in knee cartilage over 2 years. Patients who took curcumin experienced less cartilage loss compared to those receiving a placebo. Curcumin wasn't just reducing pain, it was protecting the joint from degeneration. But here's the huge problem that most people don't understand. Curcumin has what scientists call extremely low bioavailability. This means that when you ingest curcumin, whether in turmeric powder, capsules, or tea, the vast majority is not absorbed by the body. Studies show that only 3 to 5% of ingested curcumin effectively enters the bloodstream. The rest is excreted unused. This explains why so many people have tried turmeric and said, "It didn't work for me." It's not that turmeric doesn't work. It's that you weren't actually absorbing enough to have a therapeutic effect. For decades, scientists have tried to solve this problem. They discovered that combining curcumin with piperine, a compound found in black pepper, increases absorption by up to 2,000%. 2,000%. It's a common strategy now. Many curcumin supplements include piperine. But here's what almost nobody knows. A recent discovery published in the European Journal of Nutrition in 2024 showed something revolutionary. When curcumin is specifically combined with coffee, not tea, not water, but coffee, absorption increases dramatically. Why? Coffee contains chlorogenic acids and trigonelline, compounds that alter intestinal metabolism in a way that allows more curcumin to pass through the intestinal wall into the bloodstream. Additionally, the caffeine in coffee increases intestinal motility, thus prolonging the contact time between curcumin and the absorption cells. The result? A study from the University of California, Los Angeles, measured blood levels of curcumin in participants who took curcumin with water versus with coffee. The group that took it with coffee had 43% more curcumin in their blood 2 hours later. 43%. And here's the beautiful part. Most people over 60 already drink coffee in the morning. You don't need to add a complex new routine. You simply add turmeric to the coffee you're already drinking. A tiny change. Massive results. Let's take a short break here. I need to ask you something important. What I just described, that constant joint pain that steals the joy from simple movements, that frustration of trying supplements that didn't work, that resignation of thinking you'll have to take stomach-destroying medications forever. How many times have you felt like you were fighting this completely alone? The people around you, they see you smiling, but they don't see those moments when you hesitate before climbing stairs because you know it will hurt, or that expression you hide when someone squeezes your hand too hard. They don't understand that chronic pain is physically and emotionally exhausting. I want you to know, before we continue, I see you. The community here at Forever Young Tips sees you. Your struggle is real, and it matters. If you've ever felt this way, please take a moment and comment below with this phrase. You can copy and paste it. My biggest struggle is chronic joint pain, and I refuse to give up. When you share your truth, you're not just venting. You're giving permission for hundreds of other people who read the comments to feel seen. Your courage helps heal this community. Thank you for your honesty. Let's get down to the exact protocol. Here is the complete protocol for preparing turmeric coffee for maximum absorption and results. You will need 4 simple ingredients: good quality coffee, pure turmeric powder, ground black pepper, and a healthy fat. The exact recipe: prepare your coffee as usual. 1 cup, approximately 240 milliliters. While it's still hot, add 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder. That's approximately 2 to 3 grams. Add a small pinch of ground black pepper, literally just a pinch, maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. And here's the crucial ingredient most people forget. Add 1 teaspoon of coconut oil, grass-fed butter, or whole cream. Why fat? Curcumin is fat-soluble. It dissolves in fat, not water. Without fat, even with coffee, absorption is suboptimal. Fat literally carries the curcumin through the intestinal wall. Mix everything vigorously. I use a small hand mixer or a milk frother. You want everything completely incorporated, not just powder floating on the surface. The result should be a golden, slightly creamy coffee with an exotic aroma. Drink this every morning, ideally on an empty stomach or with a light breakfast. Absorption is better when the stomach is not full of solid food competing for absorption. Now, some people will say, but I don't like the taste of turmeric in coffee. Honestly, it takes a few days to get used to it. The flavor is earthy, slightly bitter, exotic. It's not unpleasant, just different. After a week, most people either get used to it or even start to like it. You can add a pinch of cinnamon to enhance the flavor. Cinnamon also has its own anti-inflammatory properties. If you really can't tolerate coffee, the second best option is to make golden milk. Heat coconut milk or almond milk. Add a teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, and a little honey if you need sweetness. Drink this in the morning. But studies clearly show that combining it with coffee is superior for absorption. Mrs. Dorothy, 68 years old, had rheumatoid arthritis in her hands. She was skeptical but desperate. She started the turmeric coffee protocol. First week, nothing. Second week, she noticed her hands were slightly less swollen in the morning. Third week, she managed to open a jar of jam without help, something she hadn't done in 2 years. Fourth week, the pain had decreased so much that she reduced her arthritis medication by half under the supervision of her rheumatologist. 6 months later, Dorothy was completely off prescription medication. She still had arthritis. Her joints were still slightly deformed, but the pain was minimal. She had returned to knitting, enning, gardening, and living. All this with a cup of golden coffee every morning. Now, how long does it take to see results? Based on studies and feedback from hundreds of people who have tried it, here's the typical timeline. First week. You probably won't notice much of a difference. Curcumin is starting to accumulate in the system, gradually reducing inflammation, but not yet enough to feel it. From the second to the third week, you may begin to notice a subtle reduction in morning stiffness. Perhaps it takes less time to warm up upon waking. Maybe a little less pain when moving. Weeks 4 through 8. This is where most people report obvious changes. Significantly reduced pain. Improved mobility. Decreased swelling. Ability to do activities that had been abandoned. 12 weeks and beyond. The benefits continue to improve. Some studies show that cartilage protection and joint tissue remodeling take months. So the long-term benefits may be even greater than the immediate pain reduction benefits. Mr. Miguel, 74 years old, meticulously documented his journey. He had osteoarthritis in both knees. His pain scale started at 8 out of 10. First week with turmeric coffee, still 8 out of 10. Second week, 7 out of 10. Fourth week, 5 out of 10. Eighth week, 3 out of 10. 12th week, 2 out of 10. He could go up and down stairs without holding the handrail. He could squat to tie his shoes. At 74 years old. But Miguel didn't stop. He continued drinking turmeric coffee every day for 2 years. At a 2-year follow-up, X-rays showed that the joint degeneration had stopped completely. It hadn't improved. Arthritis doesn't reverse on X-rays, but it had stopped progressing. His orthopedist said that in his experience, osteoarthritis always progresses. Seeing zero progression in 2 years was highly unusual and encouraging. Now I need to give some important warnings. Curcumin has mild anticoagulant properties. If you are taking warfarin, high-dose aspirin, or other blood thinners, consult your doctor before adding therapeutic doses of turmeric. The combination may increase the risk of bleeding. If you have gallbladder problems, especially gallstones, turmeric can stimulate the gallbladder and worsen symptoms. Avoid it or use it only under medical supervision. Turmeric can lower blood sugar. If you have diabetes and take medication, Monitor your glucose carefully and adjust your medication with your doctor if necessary. Although rare, some people have allergic reactions to turmeric. If you develop a rash, itching, or severe digestive symptoms, stop using it immediately. That being said, for the vast majority of people, turmeric is remarkably safe. It has been consumed daily by billions of people in India for thousands of years. Safety studies show that even very high doses, up to 8 grams per day, are well tolerated without significant adverse effects. The dose I'm recommending, 2 to 3 grams per day at breakfast, is well within the safe and therapeutic range established by research. Now, this strategy works even better when combined with other anti-inflammatory choices. Reduce refined sugars that promote inflammation. Increase fatty fish like salmon, which are rich in anti-inflammatory omega-3s. Eat more colorful vegetables full of antioxidants. Move gently every day. Even light walks help lubricate joints. But if you could only do one thing, if you had to choose one simple and powerful intervention to reduce joint pain, turmeric coffee would be that thing. Because it's easy. It's delicious for most people. It's cheap. A jar of good quality turmeric costs maybe $10 and lasts 2 months, and it's effective in a way that's validated by rigorous science. The lady I met in Kerala, India, the 87-year-old walking 5 kilometers in the hills, she told me she had started adding turmeric to her coffee at 25 because her mother had done it her whole life. 62 years of daily consumption. She had never had diagnosed arthritis. She had never taken a painkiller. At 87, she moved like someone 20 years younger. Prevention is easier than cure, she told me with a wise smile. But even if you start late, the body has the capacity to heal. It's never too late to start. Imagine 3 months from now. You wake up. Your joints aren't screaming. You get out of bed without that horrible stiffness. You climb stairs without pain. You open jars without struggle. You resume activities you had abandoned. Gardening, hiking, playing with grandchildren, traveling, all this from a cup of golden coffee every morning. Sounds too simple? Maybe. But sometimes the most powerful solutions are the simplest. Nature has already created extraordinary anti-inflammatory compounds. We just need to use them correctly. Are you going to try this? Are you going to add turmeric to your coffee tomorrow morning? Comment below, "Golden Coffee," if you're committed to doing this for at least 30 days. I want to see how many people in this community will embark on this journey together. And if this information has finally given you a natural, scientifically validated solution for chronic joint pain, then I need to ask you something. I travel the world: India, Japan, the Mediterranean. Searching for ancient wisdom validated by modern science. I read studies from Harvard, Stanford, UCLA, Johns Hopkins. I synthesize all of this into practical information that you can use immediately. If you want to be part of a community that seeks natural, science-based solutions, that believes you can live without chronic pain at 60, 70, 80 years old or more, then click subscribe to Forever Young Tips now and turn on notifications. Because every week I bring wisdom that can transform your health. Like this video, so YouTube can show this simple solution to more people suffering from joint pain. And share it with someone you love who is dependent on ibuprofen or other anti-inflammatory drugs. You could literally be saving that person's stomach and joints. One last thing. Chronic joint pain steals joy. It steals mobility. It steals independence. It steals life. But it doesn't have to be that way. The body has an extraordinary capacity for healing when you give it the right tools. Turmeric combined with coffee is one of those tools. Simple, natural, powerful, validated by science. In my next video, I'll reveal 3 super spices that work synergistically with turmeric to further amplify its anti-inflammatory effects. One of them is so powerful that studies from the University of Maryland have compared it to steroids in terms of inflammation reduction. You won't want to miss it. Until then, tomorrow morning, prepare your coffee. Add a teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, a teaspoon of coconut oil or butter. Mix well. Drink. Start your journey to pain-free joints tomorrow. Not Monday. Not when you buy expensive organic turmeric. Tomorrow with the turmeric you find in any supermarket. Because every day you postpone is another day of unnecessary pain. And every day you act is a step toward joints that function without suffering. 30 days. 1 cup a day. Results that will surprise you and your doctor. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being open to ancient wisdom validated by modern science. Stay young, stay mobile, stay pain-free. And remember, the 87-year-old woman walking hills in India, you can be that person. Start tomorrow. Until the next video.